This story takes place 27 years after the First Corporate War. The Nest by Sean Carrier. Chapter 35.
Bench press. Watch the girl. Laura, cover the stairs.
Kyle said into his suit's radio as he stepped down onto the marble floor. He then turned to face Sam, who stood by at the ready.
Sam, you're with me.
Kyle was glad to see Sam was loaded for bear. Hopefully, they wouldn't need all that firepower, but it was still nice to have. The two men crouched by the twin oak doors before the young bounty hunter reached over and opened one of them. It was past midnight and pitch dark outside the bank. Kyle stepped out the door, activated his tack light, and shined it directly over at Danny Blue's crashed SUV. He then sprinted from the front of the bank to the crashed vehicle, taking no notice of the weight and awkwardness of his radiation suit. As soon as he reached the SUV, he crouched beside it and turned his tack light off. Sam had covered Kyle while he ran from the bank to the SUV, and now it was his turn. The breacher had watched Kyle and he knew exactly where to run. So, he didn't need his own tack light. As bogged down as Sam was, he still jogged over to the crashed SUV at a lively pace and rejoined his boss. Meanwhile, the young bounty hunter was straining his eyes as he peered into the darkness over his GAC's iron sights. Once the breacher and the team's leader were together again, Kyle explained that Slick wasn't up on the roof and his suit's transponder was pinging from inside the furniture store down the street. Sam swallowed hard and gripped his automatic shotgun a little tighter as he thought about his best and only friend. Kyle peeked around the crashed SUV again. He could make out the front of the furniture store like a black, rectangular silhouette against the starry night sky. The young bounty hunter calculated the distance, shuddered at the lack of cover, and prepped himself for another run.
Stay at least 3 meters behind me until I reach the store,
Kyle ordered. The young bounty hunter then got up and ran toward the furniture store. Kyle didn't run in a straight line, but zigzagged in case a bad guy with a night vision scope was zeroing in on him. Even though he wasn't running as fast as he did before, he could still hear Sam panting as he struggled to keep up. When Sam caught up with Kyle outside the front of the furniture store, he was gasping for air and sweating like a whore in church. Still, the team's breacher was a pro and caught his breath within seconds. Kyle tried the front doors and found them locked. Sam let his weapon hang by his side as he pulled his lockpicking tools from a pouch along the front of his webbing. It only took the breacher a few seconds to jimmy the lock and open one of the doors for his boss.
Wait here,
Kyle said. The young bounty hunter walked into the store, leading with his trusty GAC. Once inside the store, Kyle activated his tactical light again and shined it at a gaudy living room set displayed in front of him. The pleather couch and easy chair were upholstered in bright, fluorescent colors that reflected the flashlight's narrow beam brightly and illuminated the front of the store. Kyle had already set the exterior microphones on his suit's helmet to maximum sensitivity, and he heard some kind of movement from somewhere deeper within the store. The young bounty hunter then shined his tack light down a path that led between the living room display and a dining room display. As per the circle in the corner of Kyle's visor, Slick was only 5 meters ahead. He began to move carefully towards Slick's transponder signal. The young bounty hunter kept his finger off the trigger because his GAC was pointed right where Slick was supposed to be. The young bounty hunter stepped forward a little farther and felt the front part of his left thigh touch something hard and thin. He shined his weapon's tack light down at whatever was touching his leg and saw Slick's sniper rifle resting on the corner of a small single bed, part of a children's bedroom display. Kyle held his GAC with his right hand and used his left hand to snatch up Slick's rifle and sling it over his left shoulder. The young bounty hunter looked back up and shined his tack light directly at the king-sized bed again. That's when he saw a large rat crawling out from the radiation suit's helmet and stare right back at him.
No way,
Kyle thought to himself, as his heart pounded in his chest with enough force to crack a rib.
This can't be real.
The rat kept staring at Kyle as it stepped toward the foot of the collapsed bed. The creature didn't stare into the tacklight like a deer in the glare of high beams, but past the light and somehow directly into the young bounty hunter's eyes. Kyle then noticed the rat resting its weight onto its hind legs, and figured it was preparing to lunge at him. So, without hesitation, he squeezed off a single 10mm round from his GAC. The young bounty hunter had chosen the 10mm submachine gun because it was an effective man-stopper. The rat on the bed, as large as it was, got blown apart by the powerful round. Its body instantly ripped to pieces and flung like bloody rags in multiple directions. It took Kyle a moment to process what he'd just seen, but he had enough wits about him to know he should get the fuck out of there. He kept his tacklight's beam focused on the king-size bed as he slowly stepped backwards. That's when he heard fresh noises coming over the speakers in his helmet. It was a weird collection of clicking, tapping, and scurrying. The exterior mics on the helmet of his suit were of excellent quality, but they didn't let him know where the sounds were coming from. Instead, he just heard the noises grow louder. Something, or several somethings, were moving in closer. But how close were they already? Kyle sensed multiple living creatures moving around him, but he couldn't see them. The front doors of the furniture store were less than 10 meters away, but to the young bounty hunter, they might as well have been on the moon.
Fire in the hole!
Kyle heard Sam's voice over the speakers in his helmet.